Hello, welcome to Vision Crafters channel. If you need glasses for both near and far vision, you have probably heard about bifocals and progressive lenses. But which one is right for you? Let's break it down. Now let's talk about bifocal lens structure and its functionality. Bifocal has two sections. We have the top section. Above this line is the top section. All this area is the top section. And then here, the small segment here is the bottom section. The bottom section is this small area. So the top section is the larger upper portion that contains your distant prescription and is perfect for driving, watching TV, and then seeing across various distant targets. Whilst the bottom section, this place, is the smaller lower segment that has your reading prescription. We normally call it addition or the near power. Bifocal lens feature two distinct vision zones separated by a visible line. So, who benefits most? Bifocal works best for people who have simple distance reading needs. It's the most affordable multifocal option lens. And if you don't use computer frequently, bifocal is good for you. And there are a lot of patients or clients who cannot cope with progressive lenses, and bifocal is another option for them because with bifocal lenses, there's no intermediate portion there. Bifocal has image jump phenomenon. There's a distinctive line. This line, it marks where your prescription suddenly changes. When your eyes cross the bifocal line, this line, objects appear to suddenly jump because the reading segment here, creates some prismatic effects at the edges of the lens or the periphery of the lens. The brain needs constantly to adjust to this kind of shift. So sometimes people take some time to adjust to this kind of lens, especially when they move their eye from the top section to the bottom section. Now, there are limitations to consider. Before you choose a bifocal lens, know these drawbacks. There is no intermediate zone for computer distance. 2. These visible lines can be cosmetically unappealing. Modern bifocal variations. Today, you can get bifocals in different styles. The most common one is this type, the D-top. This is the most common one. Then we have the round segment. The round segment used to be in the system, but now is fading out. Then we have the executive bifocal. The executive bifocal have a 4-volt reading zone. We are going to see how bifocal lens under forcimeter behave. When a bifocal lens is analyzed using a forcimeter or lensometer. Anyway, a lensometer or forcimeter is a device or instrument used to measure the power of a lens. So we achieve the distance portion power, that's the upper zone, will be placed under the forcimeter. So I'm putting the distance portion, that's the upper zone, on the bifocal lens onto the forcimeter. Then we take the readings. So on the forcimeter, we are having +3 on the forcimeter. Let's put the lower portion or the segment or the near portion also on the forcimeter. So When the lower portion is placed under the forcimeter, we are having plus 450, plus 450 at the lower portion power. We are going to analyze bifocal lens under a microscope, how it will behave. So let's see. We'll see a visible segment or lines in the microscope. And then there's optical distortions at the junctions. You can see some transitional zone in between the two focal powers. That may show some abstract changes in curvature. Yes. And then there's magnification differences. The near vision, this one, the near segment will appear slightly magnified as compared to the distance portion, this place. Imagine glasses that let you see near, far, and everything in between without any visible line. That is the magic of progressive lenses. Today, we are going deep on how they work. Now, progressive have three zones. We have distance zone, we have the intermediate zone, and then we have the reading zone. Now, the secret behind progressive seamless vision, it has a gradient power change. Unlike the bifocal that have a sudden image jump, it uses a smooth gradient of increasing magnification from top to bottom. It has a three zones in one lens, and there's no visible line in it. Now, why it feels seamless? For issues of peripheral visions, newer designs minimize distortions at the periphery of the lens. And then for customizations, opticians measures your exact pupil position for optimal zones. Let's analyze progressive lens under forcimeter. The progressive lens under forcimeter, the output differs significantly from bifocal lens due to its gradual power transition. In progressive lens, there's no distinct power zones, unlike the bifocal lens. And then in progressive lens, our target is three. We need the distance power, then we need the near power, and then we need the intermediate power. So the distance power measured at the top of the lens, where the semicircle is, this one. The distance power is measured from here. And then the near power is also measured from this side, the lower circle here. And then the intermediate power is in between here, the distance power and the near power. So let's put the lens inside or under the forcimeter and see how the lens will behave. So the distance power is put under the forcimeter. This is what we'll get from the forcimeter. We are getting minus 125 at the distance power. Okay, so we'll put the near power also under the forcimeter. On the forcimeter, this is what we are getting, plus 050. The near power is plus 050. Now, let's put the intermediate in between the distance power and the near power. So, I put it here. In between the distance power and the near power, I'm getting something like this, minus 075. So this is how progressive lens behave under a lensometer or forcimeter. Let's analyze a progressive lens under a microscope. when a progressive lens is placed under a microscope. Because of its complex surface structure, that becomes more apparent because there's a gradual power transition. So you will see that there is a smooth transition. There is no line design, unlike the bifocal. Unlike the bifocal. Then there's no sharp divisional lines at low magnification. And then there's a visible surface curvature that changes under higher magnification. Then you can see a peripheral distortions at the edges of the lens. Yes. And then you see some manufacturer marks, the fitting cross, the manufacturer logo, and then the lens curvature size. That's 14 millimeter. And then the index of the lens also on the lens as well. This lens marks is not permanent. After the lens has been glazed into a frame, we'll clean all these trademarks from it. The science behind this progressive technology. We have a digital freeform technology. It's a computerized controlled surface for smooth transitions. Then we have the customizations options. We have office progressives. It gives a wider intermediate zone. Then we have a short corridor type, which gives a smaller frames. It's ideal for smaller frames. Then we have a premium design, which is good for larger reading areas. Adaptation period for progressive lens. Be prepared for 1 week to 2 weeks adjustment where you might experience some effects in the periphery of the lens. And most at times to patients or clients feel some slight dizziness once they work on steps. Progressive is for huge group of people. Ideally, is for people with presbyopia. It's an age-related issue. People who cannot focus on near object. Also, people with refractive errors such as myopia, hyperopia, or astigmatism. Limitations and considerations. Progressive lenses are not perfect for everyone because there is a higher cost than bifocal lenses. And then there's a peripheral distortion in early designs. It requires a precise measurement and it's not ideal for certain occupation. This time, progressive lenses comes in with modern innovations. It has a wider view designs, about 30% larger reading zones. And it comes with a blue light filtering, and then it has a built-in digital protection. Main difference between bifocal lens and a progressive lens. Bifocal lens have two zones. We have the top portion for distance and then the bottom section for reading. Whilst the progressive lenses have no visible line. It has the top portion for distance, it has an intermediate portion for computer users, and then it has the bottom portion for reading. Pick bifocal if you need the cheapest options. If you only need the sight and then the reading, and then if you don't mind with this visible line, pick bifocal. Pick progressive if you're a computer user or if you need office vision. If you don't need any visible line, and also if you can adapt to 1 to 2 weeks adjustment, pick progressive. Please, if you like our content, like our channel, subscribe, comment, and share.